on this computer. Okay. So as you guys know, this is seminar class. So we will meet Wednesdays from 3 to 4:50. And then we have seminar on Fridays. So that's 12 to 12:50. Okay. And so so you guys again will be practicing here on Wednesdays, and you will be presenting your full seminar on Fridays. Oh, and Dr. Fukudo's here too. You want to say hi, Dr. Fukudo?
Hey, everybody.
Okay. I was gonna go over the syllabus with you guys, and John, if you want to, add anything to it, please feel free to. Okay. Let me get to our. Okay. All right. So if you go to our Canvas page, this is what you'll see. And we have a syllabus here. So we can go over that. And you guys, at any time, if you guys have any questions, please just unmute yourself or, ask in the chat. That's fine. So this is research seminar. So it's taught by Dr. Fukudo and myself. Okay, so you can always send us an email. It's probably the best way to get a hold of us, especially these days. And like I said, we are meeting. These are my office hours. Mondays 3 to 4, which you have a link, and then Thursdays 10 to 11. And you can always email if you want to schedule an appointment, and if you can't meet during those times, or if you want to make sure it's one-on-one, that's fine too. Okay, so we meet synchronously, so all together at the same time. And I was going to use the same link, John. I think I told you I was going to use the same link for Wednesdays and Fridays, but it actually works better for me if I create separate links. So there's our Wednesday class link, and that's on our Canvas page, as you saw. And here's the link to Friday's seminar at 12. Okay. And technically, you guys should be taking this the semester you're planning to graduate. Okay. So you guys are presenting a formal seminar for the chemistry department. And that doesn't just mean the faculty, that means your fellow peers too. And anyone else who decides to attend. So seminars are open to anyone that wants to attend. So if you want to invite like your family to watch your seminar, that is fine too. Okay, and you guys are gonna practice. So normally you guys would practice not the Wednesday before your seminar, but the Wednesday the week before your seminar. It's like a week and a half. With the calendar, we have spring break, and we have Cesar Chavez holiday on a Wednesday. It actually turns out that there are anyone presenting after spring break will be practicing the Wednesday before their seminar. So that means it's going to have to be more like it should be a polished product by that time. And so again, if you want to work with me or Dr. Fukudo on that, before you present in this class, that's possible. Or even if you're doing research in a lab, a lot of times, like students in my lab, I like to listen to their talks before they present them to the department. So even your PIs can be someone to you could practice your seminar with too. Okay. Again, this should be what you consider the final version of your presentation. Okay. The seminars follow an ACS format. So it's not like group meeting. We will actually let you present and interrupt you. And then questions are afterwards. So each Friday, 2 students present. And then, so you guys each have about 20 minutes, and then we have questions. You guys need to make sure that you are using the literature, right, that relates to your topic. So whether you're presenting about your research, or if you choose to do like a literature presentation, even if you're presenting a paper, you need to look up other papers, because it's very rare to read one paper and totally be able to understand it. often you need to look up papers referenced in that paper. Okay. You guys are going to need to prepare like a PowerPoint or use Google Slides or some other presentation software for your presentation. Okay. This is where we're really looking for your oral communication here with this class. And so being able to effectively communicate is an important skill, not only in science, but it's an important life skill we hope that you've developed while you've been at Sonoma State. So it's an important skill to take with you once you leave here. All right. Topics need to be approved. And so I have a topic sign up on our Canvas page. I don't know if I made it visible to you yet, but I will. Okay, so you guys are required to attend this class and Friday class. Of course, I know everyone's situation is kind of different with our current situation. And so I know some of you, can't do that. So just make sure you talk to me and we can arrange something, okay? I've also added in this new thing this semester. I have found that in the past, when I taught this class in person, students tend to talk and give feedback when we're all in person. Last semester, when I taught this class, it was usually me and one other person, the same person giving feedback. And it got very kind of redundant, I feel like, over this semester. So this is, receiving feedback and giving feedback is also a really important skill in life, is being able, like, not everyone wants to hear any like criticisms, right? So being able to receive feedback, but then a lot of times, especially with our peers, we'll say, oh yeah, you did great, So being able to critique your peers in a constructive way is also an important skill. So not only is there going to be two people presenting, but there's going to be designated what I've called feedback ambassadors. Two people designated to give feedback. Now, if you are not a designated person to give feedback, you can still provide feedback. Okay, that's okay. But like I said, just last semester, what happened was, people turned off their screen and there wasn't a whole exchange of feedback going on. So I really want to give everyone a chance, everyone a chance to practice giving feedback. And so you'll see that too. I made a schedule and it's on our Canvas page. Okay. So of course, if this brings up any issues, because I know everyone's situation at home is different, again, just please communicate with me. You can send me an email. Let me know. Maybe the day I assigned you is not a good day, whatever. Just let me know. Okay. Of course, it's expected. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So are we like limited to giving feedback to, is like only the feedback ambassadors can give feedback, or like anyone?
No, not at all. Not at all. I would love it. And like I said, when I've been in person with this class, a lot of people were giving feedback and it wasn't just me. And I don't know what it was, but I'm just saying, like, last semester, it got to the point where it was mostly me and one other student giving all the feedback. And I just didn't think that was a good use of all of our time. So like I said, not only do I want to, like, for you guys to receive feedback, but I want you to practice the art of giving feedback as well.
Oh, and Dr. Laura's really quick. So feedback part, that's only during the Wednesday meetings, right? Like on the Fridays,
Yes.
That's just like formal, no one's, okay, cool, okay.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. The exchange of ideas and critiques, that's on Wednesday. Friday, we're with the whole department and that is formal. And like I said, we'll let you present without interruption and we'll ask questions afterwards. But we won't be saying like, maybe you should change that color or make that figure bigger or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Martha, can I interject what's going to happen on Fridays?
Yes, please.
So I don't take roll. All right. That's a pain. What I expect is at the end of the seminar, everybody enrolled in 497 will ask the speaker a question. Okay. Now you may not have time to ask the question in the seminar. Even if you do ask the question in the seminar, I would like you to write it down and email it to me. Okay. So this is a way I'm taking roll, and it's also a way to get you to pay attention. All right, and I do grade the questions, the quality of the questions, okay? It's just a question like, where'd you buy those shoes or something like that. That doesn't really count. So I want you to pay attention. Of course, you guys should have heard all the talks twice. So you may come up with questions, you should certainly know enough to come up with some question. And I'm telling you right now, the way I also grade people on Fridays. Okay, I grade your final seminar. And part of the grade for your seminar is the ability for the speaker to answer questions. Anybody could just read a paper and just kind of just regurgitate what's the paper is, but it's the questions, it's your ability to discuss the paper, answer questions that is certainly a significant part of my evaluation of your final seminar. The other thing is on the Friday seminars, remember this is a seminar class in chemistry. So even if it has a biological slant or a material slant to your talk, you're a chemist and you're responsible for the chemistry. If you don't understand all the biological signals, that's fine. So it's good that if you do put in the proper context, but it's the chemistry that you're really responsible for. Okay?
So just to clarify about the questions, should we be typing them in the chat and then emailing them to you, or if we can't get around to them?
Type them down in an email.
Just email them. Okay.
What I do is I just save them all. I read them and I save them and then I mark them.
And so they shouldn't necessarily, because I don't imagine everyone would have time to address the speaker.
Oh, no, yeah, that's exactly right. There's too many of you for everybody to have a question. But even if you do ask a speaker a question,
Still, okay. I see what you're saying.
write it down and send it to me, okay?
Okay.
Other questions? Okay.
Also, this also pertains to the 3 outside speakers we have, not just you guys. So we have a seminar this Friday. Professor Mahdi Abu Omar from UC Santa Barbara is going to talk about the green chemistry he's doing. You either ask him a question at the end of that, or you type up a question and send it to me. I may send your questions to him. If they're really good questions, and I think he should maybe, if you really want an answer, I may just forward the questions to him and see if he responds to you, okay?
So this is our schedule. Yes, so we have the first 3 weeks are outside speakers. Notice our new dean of the School of Science and Tech is presenting. She's also your guys' inorganic instructor. So that'll be kind of cool to hear her speak. And then you guys can see which days you are presenting here. So all your last names.
I noticed that this list was a lot different than presenter list on CAN module. Like, which one are we following?
This is, remember, this is the Friday. This is when your formal presentation will be given. So the presenter schedule I put, that we'll look at that together too. That's when you're practicing in this class.
Okay.
So this on the syllabus is your formal presentation. So for instance, like Blaine and Ethan, right? You're going on February 19th. So if we go back to our modules, and we look at this presentation, I'll change this to practice presentation schedule. I think that will clarify it. But if we look at this presentation schedule, then you can see that Ethan and Blaine, you need to be ready to practice February 10th, which is a week and a half before your presentation. Okay, so that's how that goes. So this is practice. Practice presentation. I'll put on Wednesday. Okay. Thank you for helping me clear that up, Ollie. Okay. All right. Yeah, so these are the Fridays that you guys will be presenting. Okay, other questions on that?
Can I ask one?
Yes.
If you are presenting, are you still responsible for a question for the other person that's presenting, or is that more just like when you do present, like that's just you that day?
Every time somebody's speaking that is not you, you should be paying attention. You should be able to come up with a reasonable question based on your based on paying attention to the talk.
I got it.
All right. Okay, and then I didn't know, John, I didn't know if you had talked to William Wells about presenting in group meeting.
I
So-
did, but
Okay.
is William here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
So group meetings are also on Fridays from 3 to 4. And we had one more student than could fit into the schedule. I don't like putting 3 speakers in one seminar period because it's way too rushed. So I've reserved a group meeting from 3 to 4, which the entire department goes to. The student population will be very similar. And you'll just present during that group meeting. Same thing, it's a formal talk. All the protocols exactly the same.
Okay.
And then, okay, so yeah, so normally we're pretty packed this semester because normally, like, you know, Ethan and Blaine, you'll be presenting, you know, not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. So in 2 weeks from today, that only gives me this Wednesday and next Wednesday, the time that I have with you guys. Normally I have like maybe like three weeks with you guys. So William, that's why you, you know, you're presenting during group meeting. Okay. Grading policy. Okay, so attendance is 35% of the grade. The class participation, assignments, speaker questions. So that's, you know, emailing the questions to Dr. Fukuto, participating in feedback, okay, is 25% of the grade. And then your seminar, both the practice and final, is 40% of your grade. Okay. So if you miss more than 3 class periods, you may fail to meet the minimum required to pass this class. Okay, so attendance is part of this class. Of course, like like Dr. Fukuto said, is that you guys want to make sure you can discuss the paper. And like I said, that a lot of times just reading one paper is not going to provide you with enough information just to be able to discuss that. You're gonna have to look up other things. So again, using the databases available to you through the library, all the subscriptions to the scientific literature that we have, even though the library is physically closed, the research librarians are there. They have a lot of information for distance learners that can be found at this link. Okay, so they still have help hours. So they're still available. They're just not physically open. And so, you know, you could get a lot of support from the library to help you with this presentation. All right, this is kind of the piece about Canvas. So hopefully you guys are all pretty comfortable with Canvas, but if you're not, there are some links there to help you. Policies you should be aware of. And then just this is all kind of part of our template for our syllabus. Okay, so questions about the syllabus.
So if I'm just choosing a paper, well, one main paper that I'm gonna be focusing on, is there like a year limit going back? Obviously, I know you don't want to probably go back that far, but in terms of if I have something interesting from a couple years ago, is that still okay? Or do you want really recent stuff? You might have said this too. I might have just walked out.
I mean, I think a couple years past is okay.
Okay.
You might want to double check and see like what the current, like if things have changed, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
John?
didn't know if it had to be from this year.
No problem with you presenting good science from any time, okay?
Okay.
If you want to pick a paper from the 50s or 60s, that's okay with me. But I think the most important thing in terms of this being a chemistry department is it has to involve chemistry, okay?
Right.
So even if you pick a topic that maybe on the surface isn't so chemical in nature, you're going to have to address the chemical aspects of whatever you're interested. The key to choosing a topic, well, those of you doing research, presumably you're interested in the research and that's what you should do. But if you're choosing a paper, the key is to do something that you're really interested in and you want to get into.
Mhm.
Forces you to read it, to learn it, and to learn the background. Now in your talks, you're gonna have to talk about the background, right? So any good talk has 4 fundamental components to it, okay? And that is, what is the question that is asked, right?
Mhm.
Why is it an important question? That's the background. How are they answering the question? That's the methods. And what is the answer?
Mhm.
Discussion. If you have those 4 things, what question is being asked, or what is the hypothesis being tested? Why is it an important question? How are they answering the question? And what is the answer? Oftentimes there's another component. What is there next to do? What is the next thing to do? If you
Mhm.
have those 4 components, you're in pretty good shape. But remember, it's the chemical aspects of these things are important because you are addressing the chemistry department.
Right. Okay.
Now, I will not be present for your Wednesday practices. Professor Lars is present for your practice. I will be there Friday and I'll be evaluating your Friday talks, okay? But clearly, if you have any issues or discussion and Professor Lars isn't available or you want to ask me, that's fine, okay? But I will not be there during your practices. I will be there, I will be present during your actual formal presentation.
Okay. All right, so if you look at if you look back at our Canvas page, you can see there's a link to our syllabus, so you can always access this information. A link to our Wednesday class, link to the Friday class. There's my office hours if you want to come to my office hours. As we saw, there is a practice presentation schedule. And so again, these are the days that you guys will be practicing, okay? And then these are the people that are going to be responsible for giving feedback. So I just basically went from the bottom back down. And so make sure you check if you're responsible for giving feedback that day, because then I will be expecting you to participate and just let me know if that's any issue. Another way we'll give feedback in this class, and I don't have them all set up yet, but I think you can see the ones from last year, is I'll have links for a little Google form where you can just fill it out and give each speaker each week. So you'll be giving 2 a week. You will be giving them feedback via this Google form, okay? And so what I'll do is if you're the presenter, I will make you a collaborator on this Google form so you can access all the answers. Last semester, I tried to do this anonymously so students didn't have to put their name in so that you could feel free to give feedback. But then not everyone, I wasn't getting 100% participation. So then I had to go through and, you know, see who's turning it in and give points for it. I think, yeah, we can try it the first week and see if we get 100% participation. There are 25 of you in the class. So as long as each week I'm getting 24 submitted, then everyone can get, you know, the participation points. But if it, you know, again, if I don't get 100% participation, then I have to go through and check, make sure everyone's turning it in. Okay.
And those are for the Wednesday.
That's for Wednesday.
Gotcha.
Yes. That's just to give feedback for Wednesday. So, you know, not everyone likes to talk and give feedback. So if you want to write it up in there, then that's fine. Like we said, there'll be a topic sign up. So you can see I haven't made this visible to you guys yet because it still has all the old kind of topics on there. But I'll get rid of these and clear it up, and you guys can come in here and put in what topic you want to present on, and then you can see if it gets approved or not. And again, the main problem I see when people pick a topic is it's too when they put it in there, it's too big. It's like a too general of a topic where I'm like, okay, well, what are you going to talk about? Like someone like will put just DNA. I'm like, okay, well, that's a little too broad of a topic to choose. So make sure you tell me, you know, what is it? Are you going to present about DNA? So that's usually the only issue that comes up there. Okay. Again, here's some links to the library. And then we can together, we'll look at some presentation pitfalls and design tips. And these I haven't made available to you yet, but they're a rubric for oral presentations. So you can go through here and see kind of like what kind of skills makes for a strong presentation. Okay. But I haven't published that module yet. Okay. And besides that, I will record our meetings and I'll put them in this module, the Zoom meeting recordings. Okay. Any questions on our Canvas page? Okay. All right. So I thought for the rest of the time that we could talk a little bit about, we will talk some more about talks and what kind of constitutes a good talk and not such a good talk too. But I also, some feedback I've gotten from past alumni is the desire for more career advising in this class, because you guys should be all graduating seniors and kind of what's your next step. Okay, so next week we will do some workshops from the Career Center, but I wanted to show you, I put in here this Career Center orientation. Okay, so if you guys can look through that kind of on your own. Okay, but there is a more involved, I don't know if you guys are even aware that we have a Career Center at Sonoma State University, because I feel like when I talked to a lot of alumni and I was asking for feedback, they weren't not aware of this. So we do have a Career Center and they are active during our distance learning. Okay. They have a more in-depth Canvas course, and anyone can have access to it. So if you want access to the course, you email this Kelsey Bensky. So just send her an email, say, and I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you guys already have access to this or you don't, but, and it's a little bit different than what I put. I did ask her for access for it. And so on there, they'll have, it's a lot more in depth than that little module I was able to put into our Canvas course. I'm a student in this one, so I can't add any of this over to ours. But they'll have stuff in here about resumes and cover letters, you know, successful interviewing, job and internship resources. Okay. And I don't know if you guys, you know, I know some of you kind of know what you're going to do after you graduate, but some of you may not know what you're going to do after you graduate. And so, you know, hopefully you can utilize this tool and again, get an idea of where to start. In April, the Career Center is going to have a big kind of like career fest where they're going to have employers come. And it's going to be really interesting because they're inviting them to come to this career fair in April. But before that, at the end of March, they're having them all come serve on a panel. So let me see. This is a video and I can put a link to it, but here we go. So they have the career fair this April 6th, 7th, and 8th. Okay. But then they have the panels you can see the week before that. And so you can get to know who's coming to campus or coming to campus. I think it's all virtual. And then before the career fair, you can get to know who's coming. And I don't know if you guys, I never use this thing called Handshake, but apparently that's what our Career Center uses. and you can access it right on their page. This is called Handshake. And it's kind of just seems like a job search kind of thing. Like you can apply to full-time and part-time jobs and create a profile. So it's free for you guys to use. And just so you guys know, the Career Center services are available to you for a year after you graduate. So I didn't know that, but now you guys know, just in case. Okay. All right. Any questions on that? Okay. So again, there's a small little module on the Career Center on our 497 Canvas page, but again, you can have access to more if you so desire. All right.
I think they automatically put it on everyone's Canvas. Like mine's hidden, but if I go show all courses, it shows up on there.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, I feel like all students should already be in there, but on their page it said you had to request access. I was like, oh, okay. All right, good. So hopefully you guys take some time again. And I just bring that up because in asking for feedback from students, they said they just wish there was more career advising in this class. I'm going to try and I'll see if I can get some alumni to come next Wednesday to class. We were able to bring some alumni into the semester last semester. And so we can try that again. Okay. All right, let's look at this talk. These good versus not so good, or good versus not so effective talks. Oh, wait, that's not the one I want to look. Sorry, hold on. Okay, so this is a PowerPoint by Dr. Price, okay? And so just some PowerPoint presentations just to give you guys an idea, okay? So kind of just as Dr. Fukuda just said, there's kind of 4 things you can answer, you know? You want to introduce your topic. Again, that's kind of like, what's the question, right? The methods and details. So the introduction is also going to include like that background information, right? Why is a question important, right? The methods and details are going to tell us kind of how is this, you know, how are either you or the group that you're presenting about are going to answer that question. What was the answers? And then kind of, you know, what's the future direction? Okay. If you want to give us your critique, okay, you can. So of course, so the introduction, the background, the information, what's the big picture? You know, again, why should we care about this research? That's really important for me. Sometimes people will start presenting and I'm like, if I miss the big picture, then sometimes you'll lose me at the beginning of a talk, okay? And so again, the why should we care is important. All right, so methods and materials used in the research. So sometimes you guys only have 20 minutes, right? So sometimes you'll need to focus in. Sometimes I've had students in the past where they want to present everything done in the research paper, but if it's a bunch of techniques that people are not familiar with, then it's difficult for your audience to follow along, right? And I'm not even sure sometimes the student understands the methods being used. So sometimes what I'll encourage people to do is maybe focus on a couple of the experiments, but then really explain the methodology, right? Like how does that work? Or more importantly, like, okay, you know, here's what they did. If, you know, if this is the result that they're expected, here's what we should see. Or if this is the result that, you know, if this is the kind of result, then here's what we should see. And that way, you know, if you get too much into all of the experiments, that can be overwhelming sometimes, especially if, like a lot of the molecular biology papers, they'll have like, you know, 20 figures and I've had students want to present them all. And that's not just going to be possible to do a very good job presenting all the experiments. Okay. But again, you want your audience to figure out what was done, right? Okay. So either what did you find out or what did they find out? How do they answer the question? Again, we like visuals. In chemistry, we like to see the structures, okay? So make sure you're including the data, right? Don't just tell us in words, make sure you're showing us graphs, tables, the figures. Okay. I'll show you guys something later. Let's see. So discussion and conclusions. So again, what conclusions were made? What's the central message? Again, I'm not, critique of the work is not not completely necessary here, but if you are able to compare it to other, or maybe like if you're presenting an old paper, again, how, what's the current state of that field? I think it's always a good idea to prepare a few backup slides. So a lot of times when we're doing these Wednesday practice seminars, sometimes, we'll move a slide to the back of the deck, and it's there just in case you need it, but where you don't necessarily have to, use that slide. So that's always okay. And that's kind of anticipating, right? If you're anticipating what kind of questions people might ask, that's kind of a skill of being a good presenter, okay? And sometimes you might be talking about something that if you just had a visual, it might be very helpful to answer a question. So you can have some backup slides at the end of your deck. Usually I feel like we keep things pretty simple, but I know students sometimes like to try different color combinations, okay? But again, there are some different combinations that you want to be aware of, okay? So sometimes people are colorblind, and so like seeing green or red is hard. Also, like blue and black next to each other is not a good combination. So there's a couple that you just want to be aware of. I kind of like the yellow and the black, but, and also, again, you guys have to think that the way we're presenting the modality is different. Before we would present projecting, on a screen. And when we go back to that, it's a good idea to go into the room and like know what's your presentation is going to look like projected. But now we're presenting through Zoom, and so you can kind of see what they look like. So yeah, does this make you angry? So yeah, this is, I don't know, this is a little distracting. So just be aware, okay? Again, you don't want to like format too much. I always remember the first time I gave a presentation as an undergraduate when in my research group, and I loved playing with, I think I used every font, every animation available in PowerPoint at the time. And my PI was laughing. I mean, she was just like, what are you doing? And so keep it pretty simple, okay? And so I wish I could find that presentation so I could show you guys an example of what not to do. But again, you want to keep the format simple. Font size can be between 28 and 32, sometimes 24. I usually do like to put references, but they're pretty small, like at the bottom of the slide. Some people like to put all their references at the end of their presentation. Okay. Again, make sure your font is easy to read. This gives you an idea of the different font sizes. So you can see 24 is especially since we're not projecting, right? So it's kind of, you guys can get an idea of here of the different font sizes here. Okay, this gives you an idea of, how you should be able to read the text. So you want to use your slides, right? This is a visual aid, right? So again, you want to avoid reading word for word off the slide. And so one of the biggest critiques we have is usually, can you take that sentence and turn it into a bullet point, right? Can you just turn it into a brief statement, just to kind of remind you of what you want to say at that slide, okay? And so again, having the visual aids, either the structures or something, is a good idea in your presentations. Again, this goes against what I did, but you want to have unity, so kind of the same theme throughout your presentations, okay? So same colors, same types of bullets, same type of font, okay? So just keep it consistent throughout your presentation. So yeah, be careful with the animations and like anything like that. Sometimes it can be effective, but again, is it worth it? Sometimes like I worked in grad school, we worked in a crystallography lab, and a lot of times my PI was really good at taking a structure and having like a little, you know, a little animation where the molecule could rotate in, around, so you could see it in 3 dimensions. And for that purpose, it was really, you know, it was a nice thing to have. So, but again, so is, you know, an animation, is it worth it in your presentation? So these are the different, you know, just be consistent with the animations, like what kind of transitions you're using. And make sure, again, you're using it to, because it enhances your talk, okay? Not just because. Again, you guys always want to make sure you're using visual images, so graphs, tables, figures, right? You want to make sure they're large enough for the audience to see. So when I'm done going through these slides, one thing I like to show you guys is visiting the journal site. So because usually I feel like students, sometimes you'll like, maybe you'll Google something and then you'll find a scholarly article. But if you can go back to the source, they often provide high resolution images from the journal site, or, you know, create your own. It's kind of hard right now. You guys don't all have access to like ChemDraw and stuff, but yeah, so in the past that was something we like to have you guys do. But if you can have access to any kind of like a chemical drawing program, that could be helpful too. Again, scanning can be blurry. If you take a screenshot, that's usually blurry. So again, just creating nice images for your presentation. Again, we want it to be large enough for everyone to see. Of course, if we download pictures, you want to make sure you give the source. So usually if you know, if we're presenting a literature paper, you're using their figures, they're referenced somewhere. So you just want to make sure you are referencing the images you are using. Okay. This is not for our class, sorry. Ours is not 12 minutes. This is for Dr. Price's class. So so we are going for like a 20-minute, so probably presentations around, you know, 15 to 17 minutes. And you guys are gonna want to practice with that, okay? And so it's pretty, that's a short presentation. And so getting comfortable with that time, it comes with practice, okay?
Monica?
Yeah.
So we actually have 50 minutes, 50. So they can actually do a 20-minute talk with 5-minute questions. I think that's our target.
Okay, all right.
But we
That's
do
good.
hold to it because there's 2 talks. If you go first and you go long, you're cheating the person that goes next.
Yeah.
Consider it. That's not acceptable. So holding to time is extremely important, but I think we'll try to do 20 plus 5, right?
Yes, that sounds good. And what's nice about presenting on Zoom is we don't have to transition like in the classroom. You know, there's not that transition time. It's a pretty quick transition from one person to the next. We don't need to worry about this because you guys should all be presenting from your own computer, okay? Again, if you're excited about it, that's what, Dr. Fukuda was saying. You could really use this seminar as a chance to really learn about something you want to learn about. And so, by presenting, you're kind of forced to get into the research and, get into the literature and understand it, and knowing that you're going to present it. And so, again, choose something you're excited about. Okay. Questions or comments?
So can I add something about referencing?
Yes.
I personally always will reference on the slide itself. If I do that is if I give multiple talks, I can move slides around and not misreference something. Okay, a lot of students, they tend to put the references all at the end. I think that's a mistake, because if many of you are going to go on, you give multiple talks on the same subject, you're going to borrow slides, you're going to move slides around. It's best if the reference follows the slide. So I think that's just a reasonable practice. There's something to get used to at this point.
And I don't know why a lot of people do that, put their references at the end, because I also like the reference on each, whenever you're using it on site. And that's when I think the font might get small, but usually if someone, sometimes if someone's presenting, I'm like, oh, that seems like an interesting paper. I can look down real quick and, get enough information to access it myself if I want to later.
You can ask the speaker, could you go back to that slide?
Yeah.
If you see all the references at the end, you don't know which one goes for which slide.
Yeah.
And so that's not the way to do it, right?
Okay. All righty. Okay. So real quick, I'll show you guys one more thing, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about. But if we look at, if you go to the Sonoma State website and you go to the library, you can use their one search here. So let's see. I have looked up before. Let me see. Bath, Aptamer. I think sometimes students, I've had in the past, I think it's gotten much better, but sometimes it's like they can't find an article or something, or they, they have a hard time accessing it. Okay, so if we, let's see. Okay, so like for instance, if I look at this paper, I can tell it's peer reviewed here. I can tell it's open access. The library has this nice convenient link here where you can download the PDF. Okay, so I can just click on that and get to a PDF, and it's thinking. So this might be a great way to access an article. Okay, but this might not be the best way to pull an image from the article. Okay. So, but if you wanted to look at something and have it right away, that was pretty straightforward, and to get to an article. And so what I like to do is, if you can, like if we click on this, on the title, and you guys, there's some interesting things that you can do here that, again, you can click on citation and it will cite it for you. It will come up with the proper citation. I don't want to see any HTTPS semicolon / www. Okay, that's not the kind of reference I want to see on a slide. Okay, so I want to see the author names. I want to see a journal name and year. Okay, and so this has the title of the article, but I believe ACS format does not include titles. But again, there's lots of citation tools. I know there's EasyBib that people use. So it's a lot different than when I had to write my references. And, but you guys have different challenges than I did. So, but this is something that's easier nowadays too. Okay. And so these are all different options where you can get the full text. Okay. And like if we go, let's see, like let's say I click on that. Okay, so this is a good example because now I clicked on that free access thing, but notice that what happened to my article? Where did it go? You know, like it's not there anymore. So I have to go back and make sure that I have to look up this reference on that journal website. Okay, and that's okay. But now you're getting access. And just so you guys, let's see, hopefully, again, these journals cost a lot of money, right? So if you wanted to have access to this journal, it's $1,728 for a subscription, okay? Obviously, you don't have to pay that, okay? By being a student at Sonoma State, I believe we have access to this journal. So we have, and it's an open source. So let's go to issues. And then see, it's giving me different options here. So that paper was, I believe from 2013. I can always go back here. It's 2013 and I can see, let's see how they do their things. So volume 41, you can see all the different issues. I believe it's issue 7. Look at the page numbers there, 3963 to 4343. So this is at 4266. So that should be right in there. Okay. So now I can look for that article. And remember, I can look at the title, dual function BAFF receptor aptamer. Okay. So I can scroll through here. You can also look at the page numbers. Sometimes they're in order, sometimes they're not. So I'm at 4026. It looks like they're going in order. So if I need to go to 42, okay, there it is. Dual function BAFF receptor aptamer inhibit ligand induced proliferation. Okay, so this is the paper I was just looking at. So if I click on it, and the reason I'm showing you this too is because usually you can get a higher resolution here. And usually like if there's supplemental information, there's usually a direct link. Okay, like here, this one does have supplementary data. So if I just downloaded that PDF straight, like, and maybe that's the first thing you do if you just want to see if you're interested in a paper, but later if like, oh, I need to look at the supplementary data. Well, you can't get that just from downloading the PDF. Okay, so here's the supplementary data for this paper if I needed to go look for that. Okay. And then what usually happens is with the figures. So here's the figures. You can download a slide. Okay. So you can see like I can open it in a new tab, which is fine. Or you can download a slide of this. Okay. So I'm not a robot. And there you can have a PowerPoint slide of that figure. Okay. So this is, again, it's different with each journal, but the reason I'm showing you this is because you can use, sometimes people get really blurry images. And so by going to the source, you can access different things. Okay. So like I said, you can access not only the not only like better images, but the supplemental data as well too. Okay. So there's some advantages to going straight to the source. Another thing that's usually cool, let's see if they do it in here, is they will link to the references. So if you needed to look something up, see like here, if I'm like, okay, I want to look at that reference 36, it takes you right to, you know, you can look up and see what the reference is. And then it's giving you these links to other databases. So PubMed is a common database people use to look up papers. Okay. And so here we go. So this is the reference. This was the reference. So this is on the HIV GP120 aptamers. And then I can link to the articles right here to the right. Okay. All right. just some tricks. Hopefully you guys have, played with all that stuff before and you got it down. But is there questions about that? And again, I accessed all that just from our library. Okay. So sometimes it will ask you to sign in as a student just to make sure, you are part of that community. But yeah, so that's one way. You want to make sure you're accessing the literature.
We should also tell them, Monica, that our library has a lot of journal articles, but they don't have them all. They don't have journals. But the interlibrary loan feature is actually very, very useful. I have not had an occurrence where they weren't able to get something. So if we don't have the subscription, they can contact another library that does, and they have an agreement. Well, they will get the article for you and basically send it to you. So you do not want to wait to organize and prepare your presentation. You want to start right away because it may take maybe a few days to a week to get a really important article. So you don't want to start the week of your talk.
Right. And what's nice too is if I didn't have any examples here, but if you're let's say you find something, let's say you did Google it, even though I hope you're using the databases, and then you come to one search to look and see if you have access to it, and it might pop up, but it will say we can get it for you, and so and it'll be just a one click to interlibrary loan. And what's really nice when you do that is that it will automatically fill out the form for you. So you don't have to enter in all the information. Again, entering the information is not hard, but there is that option too. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to show you today. Dr. Fukuda, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add to that.
No, sounds good.
All right. Any questions from the class?
So next week on Wednesday, are we going to kind of use that time to sort of maybe ask you for advice on like some articles we might have seen that we might want to talk about, or are we kind of already getting into people doing their presentations?
That sounds great. If you guys want to do that, I can set aside some time. Like I said, usually what I'll do is we'll talk a little bit, like I said, about the career center stuff. We can do a workshop from there. If I can set up alumni, I have contacted a few people. I'm waiting to hear back, and so I might bring them in. But we can definitely build in some time if you guys want to talk about different topics.
Cool.
Fine.
Sweet. Okay.
Other questions? All right, you guys. Well then, if you guys think of anything, please email me or Dr. Fukuda. We do have seminar this Friday, right? This Friday at noon, we do have seminars. So it is expected that you all attend and email Dr. Fukuda a question, okay? But if there's no other questions, then.
Question after seminar.
Yeah.
Okay.
After seminar. So you have to listen to the seminar first, right? And then ask the question. And again, even if you ask the seminar speaker a question, still email it to Dr. Fukuda. All right. I will stop sharing. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Please, stay safe, stay healthy. Please take care of yourselves. All right.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.